I get a wee bit nervous in front of the camera. You know, I'm used to being behind the radio. I sit here, all right. Gonna have some coffee. Cheers. Good morning. I suppose it's all over now, the 6 years of hell. Yesterday was, I suppose I don't need this on anymore. Yesterday was VE Day, and it means now that life can start again, because it can't return to normal. What is normal? I was born in Scotland, and I moved to South Africa just before the war broke out, and I decided I didn't have anything else to do, so I'd volunteer. So I was in the 1st Regiment to East Africa, and when they found out that I had an affinity with birds, and especially pigeons, they decided to take me over, because after First World War they shut the pigeon work down, their war, and they realised that the Germans had me. So I got taken over, and I started training up and sending these carrier pigeons, and they were absolutely magnificent. You know, they could fly for miles, and they would carry the messages when the radios that I was also trained in, that it just, you know, the signal would break, and that's why they dropped the initial training of the pigeons. They just shut up, and they just said, no, well, the war's over in the First World War, so we don't need it. And then they realised that the modern technology of the radar and the things was obviously susceptible to interception, and the lines would go down, and eventually the pigeons were the way out. So we trained them up. We trained them to do short spurts and get them strengthened up, and it was quite magnificent to see. You know, we'd fly them 2 or 3 times a day, and every time they'd come back to their lofts. So it became mandatory for every plane and every regiment to have a few of these pigeons. And a few of my birds, they ended up flying fantastic distances. But the one that I'm most proud of, and the bird actually got the medal, was the white pigeon, because it was on a Catalina boat, flight ship, not, what's it? I'm getting all emotional because it was one of my favourite birds, yeah. White pigeon, and I don't know what I'm going to do you out of. But anyway, this bird was on the aeroplane, and it had to ditch into the Outer Hebrides Sea, and the weather was really rough, and it was cold, and it was dark, and luckily through our training in the infantry, that this bird flew 30 miles in the dark, and it was covered with oil, and it was covered in, and because it landed at its loft, we were able to, and one of the crew had actually written down where their signals were, and we were able to save the crew of the Catalina. So that's my most proud one, I suppose. But I don't know if you can actually get proud of being in the army, because a war it's no good. I lost so many friends, and so many unnecessary lives were lost. And for what? Now we've got to face a new reality. Not that I want to be bitter and grateful that I made it out, because I mean, you know, conditions were tough for the other guys, and they didn't get that privilege. So I should be happy, but at the same time, do I go back to South Africa, or do I stay here so I can be near my birds? And there's another wee love interest as well, not just of the feathered kind, but yeah, it means all these young men who were innocent starting in are coming out with scars, and I just hope that we know in the light of the victory that we don't do this again, and we learn from it. You know what I mean. maybe I'll get involved with birds in a professional capacity, because what else? Anyway, that's sounding really depressing. I better say cheers. We can go and get a pint if there's any. We'll have to see if there's any rations. Cheers to you, and here's to all the lives that were lost and the lives that are going to have to pick up the pieces. Right, was that all right? Was that all right?